Everyone, it's Football-Oranje, your home of Dutch football in the English language. I'm Michael Statham, joined by Abdul. We're going to be talking about Ajax today, predominantly, but we'll be talking about some of the top Dutch teams too in the Eredivisie. We've got a new feature where we're going to talk about each team in the Eredivisie, and we might touch upon the national team towards the end. But of course, we've got a busy few weeks when it comes to Dutch football because we're going to be talking about Ajax now, the start of the new season. And the national team have, of course, got some games coming up in the Nations League. So we're going to do some match previews and live streams after those games in the coming days and weeks. But Abdul, how are you? And have you enjoyed the start of the Eredivisie season?
I'm fine, thank you, Michael. Yeah, it was a very enjoyable beginning of a season. It went pretty much like what we expected for the team that is leading the table now. We were hoping that Ajax would be better. They are better, although they only won a match and lost the other. It was a surprise loss to NAC Breda. It was pretty much like we expected. We're just hoping to see a better performance by the big names, especially Ajax and Feyenoord, since also Feyenoord, they tied 2 matches and they won only 1 in the beginning. So the team is still not stable.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to touching upon each of the teams in the league. But we're going to focus on Ajax, especially to begin with, because I know that people have been keeping an eye on them. In the Eredivisie, the Netherlands, you're either an Ajax fan or you're not, if that makes sense. You're either an Ajax fan or you're an anti-Ajax fan. And I think people are enjoying seeing Ajax struggle over the past 18 months or so. But I know that the start of the season has been quite interesting when looking at Francesco Farioli, a foreign coach who has come in, Italian, and he is changing how Ajax are on the pitch and off the pitch as well, I guess, with the help of Alex Cruz, who's come in, and another person, I forget his name, but Ajax seem to be a team that are changing on the pitch, particularly, even though they've not had the transfers that they exactly have desired. Farioli has had an impact, especially when it comes to how they line up defensively. What have you made of his impact so far? Because I've got to say it, I think it's been... Look, he's not fixed everything all of a sudden, but I do feel like this is a real big work in progress, and I feel suddenly very optimistic about the club.
Well, since he took the job and since they started playing official matches, he only lost to NAC Breda. It was a surprising defeat, but the rest of the matches, and since he played in Europe more matches than he played in the Eredivisie, he pretty much won all the matches he played. And some people might argue, the teams Ajax faced were weak. Well, we saw how Ajax were last year. Last year, Ajax conceded so many goals from much weaker opponents. And now look at them. I think Farioli, the first thing they brought him for was to fix the defense. Last season, conceding 4 goals from Utrecht, 5 goals from PSV, 6 goals from Feyenoord, 4 goals from Aston Villa in the European competition. And look at them now, they barely concede any goals. They were into some problems because they could not score the way they used to score before. But I think Farioli was pretty much focused on fixing the defense. And after the defeat from NAC Breda, maybe he realized the problem that the team needs to attack more, to score more. And we saw that in the last 2 previous matches where they won 4-1 and 3-0 in the in the Europa League playoffs.
So let's have a look at some of these games then that they've been playing this season. These include friendlies, of course. I mean, I can scroll this down, but they did have some good friendly results. They managed to get past some teams in the European qualifiers. I mean, most notably Panathinaikos, but it did struggle in that home game and had to take penalties, of course, to get past them. But a lot of greens, of course. That defeat to NAC was actually quite against a lot of what we've been seeing from Ajax. But, is that because of the level of opposition? Who knows? They did struggle to 1-0 win over Heerenveen. It was very reserved performance. But it does show again that the defence is improving, that, they're keeping clean sheets. They're not conceding 3 or 4 goals, like you just said, Abdul. And that is already a big change. Pasveer playing in goal, that for me was a brave choice. Ramai had a good season last season, but Farioli has stated that Pasveer is bringing leadership and he's bringing that sort of help to the defence that they didn't have last season. Sutalo, who was full of mistakes last season, is looking a lot more assured now. Not perfect yet, but is a lot better. He's brought in an Italian defender he knows well, Regani from Juventus on loan. We have not seen much of him yet, but I hear good things about him. And then the bravery to start playing Yuri Bas at centre back. We touched upon this in the big Eredivisie season preview, which you can still, of course, go and check out. That he was like a left winger or left back for NEC Nijmegen last season, and he didn't even start sometimes for them, but has come in and is like an undisputed starter at centre back because he's left-footed, he's calm, he's tall, not big and physical yet. But that was a really another interesting, brave choice from Farioli, and look, it's brought results. He's doing things a bit differently, which is what we want to see from a foreign coach. We talked about this potentially happening for the Netherlands national team too, but that's a different conversation for another day. It's working, and fair play to Ajax, that choice. And Farioli, how do you find his character, by the way, in interviews? Of course, he does them in English. He speaks well in them. I just wonder what you thought when you see him speak.
Well, to be honest, I feel like he has a very strong personality.
He does.
And I think the players really respect him, and I can see them fighting since he is, the leader or the coach of the team. The players really have big respect for him. They fight for him, and obviously his standards are very high for you to be a starter. And that is why, he just put 4 players away and decided to sell them. Unfortunately, Weindl was one of them. He thought, these players are not good enough. I'm not sure yet if he's going to sell all of them, but I can see the way he just, excluded some players from the team. Ajax lacked character last year, actually. Even the days of Schroeder, the team lacked character. We did not see the team in the field. Usually the name Ajax scares many opponents, but we did not see that the past 2 years. We saw that this year, despite the surprising loss from NAC Breda. So I think he's doing a great job as a coach. He's tactically very, very smart. And I think even maybe we will talk about this later. I think choosing Weghorst for the team, because the way he plays pretty much suits the Italian way to play football, And that's why maybe he chooses or he wants Weghorst to play with the Ajax. So far, I'm really happy with him. And I think the team will have better results in the Eredivisie. I know some fans are not happy with losing the first match, only in the second match in the season, but I think the team will go on from there.
Yeah, they're still going to have wobbles, but I do think this is a team that will be a lot more confident as it goes on. They will make less mistakes and have less of those performances that we saw against NAC. They had a lot of the ball, but weren't able to hurt them. Let's talk about those leaders. But just quickly first, a quick shout out, of course, that we have this podcast on YouTube, but also on lots of other podcast providers. You can get some lots of podcast apps. If you want this on your Android or your iPhone downloaded, we're on Apple Podcasts as well, and SoundCloud too. But yeah, lots of ways of tuning in. But if you are watching on YouTube, you can see our faces and some graphics I have on screen. Do give us a like and subscribe if you're new to Football-Oranje. Leaders, Weghorst is brought in. Good old Wout Weghorst. It's just one of those players that makes me smile now because of everything he's been able to do recently with the national team. Club football-wise, he struggled a little bit. I just found the images of him quite poignant when I saw them online. Of him, I didn't know he was a devout Christian. Perhaps I missed that one. We had like Christian sort of earrings and a necklace, and he was with these little girls, and he was in the Amsterdam arena, and he was just getting all emotional that he made this move. Because he said that he wore an Ajax shirt when he was a kid. I think that annoyed Twente fans, by the way. But because he did actually reject them this summer, because he wanted to move to Ajax, he waited for it. I think he just really sort of sees it as fate that he's got this move to Ajax. If that helps him confidence-wise, then great. But yeah, 3 strikers now with Ajax, and you don't see this very often. Brobbey, Weghorst, and Akpom, who all think they should be starting for Ajax. Is this going to be a move towards 2 strikers playing in the system? Will Farioli change the formation? I mean, from what I've seen so far, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Ajax have a system either to play with wing-backs. So a 4-3-3 is surely how it'll work. But none of those 3 players are really that great playing as a number 10. I mean, Akpom has played as number 10 in England. I don't think that is going to be a position that Farioli wants to see him in, though. So I'm wondering why this decision was made. Weghorst was brought in for his qualities, of course, as a striker, bit of a pinch hitter sometimes, a leader. but now they have 3. I mean, we are at the end of the transfer window. Akpom could still be about to leave. Things could be about to surprise us, but and Brobby too has rejected a move to Nottingham Forest this summer. Big move. His agent was quite scathing, saying, "I'm not selling my player to any old club," he said in Dutch. Interesting. But I think Ajax have got some tools to hurt teams now in attack.
Yeah, speaking of the 3 strikers, in my opinion, I don't think Weghorst will be a starter. I think Weghorst proved in many occasions that he is a much better player if he comes as a sub. So maybe he will use him like that, as a sub. I think the competition will always be between Brobbey and Akpom. Brobbey, somehow he's not really doing his best. Although he scored a goal yesterday, I hope this goal will maybe cheer him up a little and makes him play better the next matches. But I still think the competition will be between Brobbey and Akpom, unless, of course, as you say, Akpom leaves, for example, or something surprisingly happens and Brobbey leaves. Maybe we still have 2 days left, or maybe 24 hours left. So, again, Weghorst is a sub. Brobbey, Akpom will still compete for a starting position. That's for the strikers. I don't think he will switch to 4-4-2. I don't think Ajax will ever play like that, especially with an Italian coach, actually.
Well, you say that, but then they did play with the back 5 last season, didn't they, when it was getting quite bad in defence?
Yeah, last year was an exception, actually. Nobody expected Ajax to. I mean, they received or they got historical results. Being defeated 6-0 to Feyenoord, 5-2, I think, to PSV. So it was a must for Van Schip to make some changes, especially that he did not even get the chance to buy any players. So he had to use the weapons at his disposal. I think that's why.
What would you give Farioli's starts at Ajax out of 10? How would you kind of rate him?
I always say results speak for themselves. I will exclude the friendlies. I cannot blame a coach for losing a friendly. He played, he played 6 matches now in the Europa League qualifiers, and 2 matches in the Eredivisie. He only lost 1, actually, the one that Ajax won by penalties. It ended 1-0.
Game.
Yeah, that was the only and of course the Breda game. Yeah, indeed. So out of 8 matches, you're talking about losing 2. Comparing this to last year, I think this is a big jump for Ajax.
I mean, I'd probably say give him about an 8 as well. I mean, he's doing very well, but it hasn't been perfect. But he has a lot to change, and I just hope that for Ajax's sake, he sticks around. You look at his career; he hasn't really stuck around very much as a manager yet at any of the clubs he's been at. Why is that? Is it always that he's trying to jump up the ladder, if that makes sense? Is he hoping to have one good year at Ajax and move again? Or has he been waiting for the perfect opportunity? He did well with Nice, and then Ajax took him away from there. I don't know. But I would hope that he's there for a few years and he continues to build Ajax, because the ambitions of the club hopefully suit his and the players, and they want to be back in that top 3. Back winning the league again soon. I can see Ajax doing it, or at least making it very competitive Eredivisie. I don't want Ajax to do it. I'm not an Ajax fan. I'm a Dutch football fan. I think seeing teams do really well in our league it's good for the league. It's good for the country. But yeah, I think should we move on to the European draws, Abdul?
Okay, we can move to the European draws if you want. Yeah.
Should we do it? So we, of course, have been spending the start of this podcast talking about Ajax. We'll touch upon the other Dutch teams now as well. But starting with Ajax's European draw, we've just come back for the back of a Europa League draw, Champions League draw. 5 teams in Europe this season out of 6 go ahead were knocked out. 2 teams in the Champions League, 3 in the Europa League. Ajax's draw actually looks the most favourable. I'm just going to put it on screen now. Abdul, what did you make of this draw? So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see the fixtures on screen, hopefully, any second now.
Yeah, well, Ajax, of course, avoided very big opponents. They avoided Manchester United, Porto, Roma, Tottenham. They avoided many big names. And the group now is pretty much at their hands. I mean, the only opponent that might, I cannot say that it might defeat Ajax, but Ajax could struggle maybe against against Real Sociedad and Lazio. The rest of the teams, I think Ajax is capable of beating them. With all respect to Besiktas, for example, or Slavia Praha, but I think this Ajax with Farioli can play very organized matches and get good results out of these teams. Ajax is a favorite to actually to go to the second round and be in the top 8, actually.
Yeah, that would be really important. Getting into top 8, bonus coefficient points and whatever you, and then getting through to the last 16. Having a run in the competition would be massive if they can have this improvement that I've just spoken about. And, looking at the start of the season, we did say that Ajax might be third. I think Mike said that they might be fourth in the table this season. But if they continue this improvement, maybe they're better than final at the moment as well. And they could even look at a second place, a Champions League direct ticket into the league phase of their next season. And having a run in Europe would be really great for Ajax to have a good recovery season. Looking at some of these fixtures, though, I could be getting carried away. They could lose lots of these. They could find it difficult. But they've structured matches, playing defensively well. Got some good attackers now. Let's see what happens. But we've seen Dutch teams beat Lazio recently. AZ did home and away. As the away ties go, Slavia Praha from pot 1 isn't too bad. But these are good games that can be competitive, and it's not saying that there will be comfortable winners in them. But they're ties that Ajax can win. Galatasaray and Besiktas both at home. That's more favourable. Yeah, a good draw for Ajax. In my opinion, the most favourable of all 5 of the Dutch teams active in Europe this season.
Yes. I think Ajax has the chance to especially against Galatasaray and Besiktas. The match against Slavia Praha, Maccabi Tel Aviv, RFS from Latvia. I don't really see how Ajax could not perform well against these teams. And as you said, I'm not going to say we're going to win comfortably, but we should really win most of these matches and qualify directly. About the league, about Ajax being third or fourth, I think the most convincing position for Ajax this year to be third in the table. I know Feyenoord did not have a good start, but maybe they were not lucky in some times. They had like a red card in the third match. The second match they were playing, or the first match they played very well, actually wasted so many chances, but they only scored 1 goal. So the team is playing an attacking football. They just did not get the expected results, and maybe this will be fixed. I think Feyenoord will develop.
Yeah, a final could well get better throughout the season. Priska has inherited quite a strong team actually from Arne Slot, and I think people are realizing how good Arne Slot is now. Priska's a good coach in his own right. By the way, I have noticed we've flipped from Ajax to finals. Any Ajax fans right now are going, "Oh, I don't want to hear all this." But hopefully we've piped up from other Dutch football fans who are listening now. I think this Champions League league phase draw here we can see on screen now is actually very, very difficult. I thought at first it was more favourable. I don't know, actually. I think there's some tricky ties. And I think Feyenoord will do well to get into those playoffs, really, given the start of the season they've had. I hope I can share your optimism, Abdul, but at the moment I don't. And I'm a little bit worried for them. In the closing days of transfer market, I won't comment on anything because I don't know, but we've seen players have been linked with moves away, big players, not many replacements being sought to come in. But yes, look at this draw here. Bayern Munich at home, Man City away. Tricky away ties going to Spain, France and Portugal. They'll have to try and beat Salzburg and Sparta Praha at home, but I think they're going to be 2 tricky ones too. With a new system, maybe Priska can play the back 5 and get that going against some of these tricky ties. But yeah, I think if Feyenoord get knocked out here by finishing the bottom 12 of the league phase, they could at least concentrate on the league after that, or the cup. Still have a good season. But yeah, I'll look at that and go, that's tricky.
Yeah, well, first of all, we need to know that the Champions League, a new system, all the European competitions, a new system is kind of complicated, and I'm sure many teams will need some time to adjust. And and even if you play a tough opponent, since it's one match, many surprises can happen in only one match. For example, we saw this team, Sheriff, defeated Tottenham and Real Madrid. But then in the away matches, the team collapsed. They could not pull any more surprises. But now you only have one match against every team. It's like a knockout stage. In the knockout stage, anything can happen, maybe, for example, Manchester City will have a bad day. You never know. Of
Of
course,
course.
logically speaking, of course, Manchester City will defeat Feyenoord easily. But again, surprises could happen when it comes to only one match. Who knows what will happen? That's number one. Number two, I know many Feyenoord players are linked to transfer, but so far, most of the players are staying home. Weaver only is the only player who actually moved to Brighton, but the rest, they are only linked, but nothing happened yet. And
Yeah.
we only have tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day for the transfers, so we will see
The
how
top
it will
five,
go.
top five league, of course. The Eredivisie keeps theirs open till September the 2nd. But, people could be watching this after it's all happened. So I don't know, but I think Feyenoord will still have a strong season. They'll get some wins eventually. They'll get better, but I just wonder if it could be too late for this competition, the Champions League. Should we go into PSV's one? They've got what people believe is a more favourable draw in the Champions League than Feyenoord. Let's bring it up. Yeah, what do you think about this one, Abdul?
Okay, PSV has a relatively easier group than Feyenoord. They will play at least, in my opinion, at least four teams that PSV can defeat. Girona, Red Star, Shakhtar. They can defeat these teams. I'm not going to say they will be easy matches, but they are possible of to defeat even Sporting Lisbon. I think PSV, if they have a good day, they can beat Sporting Lisbon. But again, against Liverpool, I'm not sure. Paris Saint-Germain, it's not the same Paris Saint-Germain with Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe.
Still a
The team,
tricky match, though.
yeah, exactly. It's going to be a very tricky match. Juventus also, they are building a team now. It's not as strong as they used to be. So again, all the possibilities are open. But yes, PSV is in a relatively easier group than Feyenoord. Yes.
I think with PSV now, people could be listening to this after the transfer market's closed and they might know who these players are, but they need new defenders. And at the minute, we're talking about Oppegaard and Ledesma playing fullbacks in like the Champions League. Oh, that's such a scary thought. Like, please don't let that happen. They need a left back as soon as possible. A new centre back to come in and strengthen it. They need to keep Boscagli and Benitez, hopefully keep them happy. But come on, look at this draw, Benitez and Boscagli. Just stick around.
Yeah.
At least another season, man. At least another season. Boscagli could leave for free next summer, of course. But yeah, look at these ties. I think they're more favourable. Can they beat Girona at home? Can they beat Shakhtar at home? I think yes, they could. Sporting on a trickier ties from pot 3, but they've got them at home. And they've got a really good team, Sporting. They, like teams in Eredivisie, the Portuguese teams lose their best players to transfers, but they've managed to keep them around and won the Portuguese league quite comfortably last season. So quite a similar situation to PSV, I guess. Red Star away and Stade Brestois away. There are two winnable games. PSV might find them tricky, of course. It's a Champions League. But in terms of them getting through, maybe the top half of those playoffs. The thing I don't know is, in those playoffs, do you play the team home and away, or is it just a one-off game?
No, in the playoffs, home and away, actually.
Home and away, yeah. I
Yeah.
saw mention it and I got confused for a second. But yeah, no, it is home and away. A lot of games. But hopefully PSV can make it through.
So many games, yes. They mentioned yesterday that the number of games was more than doubled, actually, comparing to last season. But again, the money UEFA will make is like 4.1 billion out of this competition. Yeah, comparing to last year, to the old system, it's 1.1 billion more, I believe, euros. Yeah.
That's insane money, isn't it? But
Exactly.
that is football nowadays. RZ Alkmaar then starts the season quite. I don't have to say it. I'm actually a little bit disappointed, even though they've done okay with their results. I think 7 points from 9, beaten Almere 1-0, beaten NEC 1-0, 0-0 Groningen. Points wise, it's okay, but performance wise, not so good. I mean, they haven't conceded a goal. Owusu Aduro is a new young goalkeeper. It's coming from their academy, 19, I think. He looks a great talent, but I think they're just lacking goals, and it's not coming from their striker. I mean, Troy Parrott, I think, is a good player, good signing as well this summer. But RZ need quality from wide areas, and they're not going to sign someone the rest of this window. So they have to rely upon Van Bommel, for example, coming out and having a breakout season, but he's still disappointing a little bit for me, not carrying enough quality. I hope that it changes for RZ, because if you look at this European draw, I think it's very tough. Again, lots of matchups with Turkish teams in these league phases. Beating Fenerbahce and Galatasaray at home could actually be really important for us getting further in this competition. I mean, in terms of favourable matches, Elfsborg, Ferencváros and Ludogorets, they're three teams that they should be winning those games really. But this season they've been a bit disappointing. And I'm going to say it. I think it's a mixture of both a lack of quality from wide areas, but also Martin Martin's a head coach. I haven't been amazed by him so far. But Wouter Hoes at centre back, brilliant talent, and I expect to see him in an orange shirt one day.
Well, of course, AZ only played the 3 match so far. They did not have to go through qualifiers, so we did not see
we haven't
much
seen him in
of
Europe,
them.
have we?
Yeah,
No.
exactly. So we don't know much about the team yet. The results they got so far in the Eredivisie are accepted. Winning 2 matches, even if it's 1-0, a win is a win. Winning 2 matches and having a draw in 1 match, the team is still on the track to compete for the title. And in the group of the Europa League, as you said, the team can actually defeat at least 5 opponents in the group. Of course, the matches against Roma and Tottenham are going to be very tough. But again, Roma and Tottenham, they have many bad days, and you don't know really what could happen with them. I remember how Vitesse gave Tottenham a hard time, even in England, even in Tottenham.
And Roma.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I will not be surprised if AZ get us some good results against Tottenham and Roma. The team does have a chance to actually make it to the second round. Yeah.
And lastly, FC Twente are the last Dutch representative in Europe, also in the Europa League. Let's pull up their fixtures. I think, given that they've been in pot 4, like you're going to get some trickier games in a way, but I think they're going to really struggle with this. They've lacked a bit of quality this season, despite the fact Joseph Oosting is a head coach, who I think is a talented manager. But from pot 4, getting Besiktas and Nice, like that is mean. But at least Twente can look forward to some brilliant European ties. Like they'll get to play Man United, a trip to Greece, trip to Sweden, trip to France. The fans will really enjoy that. But in terms of getting through into the next round, I'm not so sure. What have you made of Twente this season, Abdul?
Again, Twente was tested only in the qualifiers of the Champions League. They lost the first match 2-1. The second match, they fought very well, although they were 3-1 down, but they made a very good comeback to 3-3. So it was a very tight match against Salzburg, I think. Okay, we were all expecting the team not to make it to the Champions League, We were just hoping for a surprise. But I think the performance they had against Salzburg was acceptable. So far, they won 1 match. They tied 1 match in the Eredivisie. They played only 2 matches, which is also acceptable for a team that's looking to be in the top 5. About them in the Europa League, again, as you said, it's going to be a very tough competition for them, playing Manchester United, Lazio. The Turkish teams will not be easy against Twente. Is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. The team can make a surprise again. I don't see the team losing all the 8 matches. I don't see that coming at all. They could actually have some good results.
Okay. Abdul, we're going to move on to a new feature now. So I'm going to need your help. We're going to be doing a feature where we talk about each of the Eredivisie teams in turn. People always enjoy when we do the national team and also Eredivisie podcasts. And just as a nice little feature now, I'm going to challenge myself to talking about each Eredivisie team we haven't talked about so far for 10 seconds each.
Okay.
So I don't know how this is going to go. This could go dreadfully. I might have absolutely no idea what to say, but I do watch this league quite a lot, maybe too much. It's one of my biggest hobbies. And maybe I watch too much and I need to get outside more. But
you can start and I will stop you if it's more than 10 seconds. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to interrupt me, Abdul, if I spend longer than 10 seconds.
No problem.
You start the timer, Abdul, and throw a team at me. Let's do it.
Let's start with the Groningen.
Okay. Groningen, I've loved their young players that they've had in attack. Valente, Van Bergen, Schroeders, great talents.
Excellent. It's even less than 10 seconds. Okay. Utrecht, what do you say about Utrecht?
Really disappointing, but they've got points on the board. Noah Ohio looks like a good talent and may have a breakout season.
Okay. Fortuna Sittard.
Danny Baus is a good manager. I nearly called him Banny Douse. Defensively, Fortune look okay and had some nice start to start the season.
Yeah, very good start actually. 2 wins. Willem II.
Newly promoted side that have got some good points on the board. Have surprised me because I didn't know too much about them when they got promoted.
Okay. And Sparta Rotterdam.
Oh, they need to keep hold of their best players, and I think they might do it yet again at the end of the transfer window. And if they do, they could have a really good season, maybe even finishing 6th.
Oh, okay. Nijmegen, NEC Nijmegen.
A little bit more disappointed with them, but they have still got some good players. They're still trying to recruit well. I hope that they can get better throughout the campaign. They've been a bit disappointing, a bit flat to watch. I didn't really enjoy watching their games.
Okay. Go Ahead Eagles.
Again, another disappointing start to season, but hopefully they can pick up now. New manager Simonis, not great so far. Keep losing players, and I think it's a bit of a transition season for them now.
Okay. NAC Breda with the remarkable win against Ajax.
Oh, yeah. No, I've really enjoyed watching them, and they should beat Utrecht as well. At home, they're incredible. I've said it so many times in the podcast, people are bored of me saying it, but I love their fans. I think it's great. You should go and do a game there if you want to do a game in the Netherlands. Yeah, I think they're going to be okay this season.
Okay. And Heracles.
Shilavalant Suns is a big talent there. I think with injuries, they've been actually okay. I think Van der Looy's going to keep them defensively sound enough to do all right this season.
Heerenveen.
Van Persie has had a good start. I keep hearing that it's Van Persie's Heerenveen, much like when in England you hear Wayne Rooney's Plymouth, Wayne Rooney's this, because he's a former player, but he is catching the limelight, and I think eventually Heerenveen will have some good games, lots of attacking football, especially at home.
Okay. With mentioning they played only 2 matches, of course, a tie and a defeat. Yeah. Zwolle.
Oh, wow. I've finished bottom this season, and I'm sticking with it. I'm not that amazed by them at all. I haven't enjoyed watching their games. I think they're really going to struggle.
Yeah. RKC.
Same thing, same problem. Wow. Henk Fraser, I think, could be given the sack in the next month or so. He's not having... Michael Kramer's fallen out with a manager because he wasn't selected when their main striker was injured, and they're a bit of a mess.
Finally, Almere City.
They are trying to recruit a couple of interesting players, but keep losing players. Dyer Razing's going to Groningen. Floranus has left. The Pexwalla. I think they've lost their best players, and Madura is going to be fighting really hard to keep them up. But recruitment is going okay.
Yeah, well, before the beginning of the season, I was expecting Almere City and RKC to be in this position, actually, if you remember. So, yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. Yep.
I do find it tricky. That shows you how sad I am.
Yeah. But, yeah, you are done, and you did it 10 seconds pretty much for almost all the teams. And we spoke, of course, about PSV, AZ, Feyenoord, Ajax, Twente in previous times. So, yep.
Yeah. I think it's a nice little way to wrap up, Abdul. We'll talk about the Dutch national team in a few days. We'll have a match preview of the Bosnia game, won't we? Live streams after those games. If you're more of a national team listener, then of course we'll have that coming up. But if you're more of an Eredivisie listener, let us know if you enjoyed this. Give it a like, of course, especially on YouTube, and subscribe there. Help the algorithm find new people to come and check out our podcast. Check us out on social media, of course. Let us know. You can let me know either in YouTube comments or on Twitter, anywhere you want. What did you think of the new features? Did you enjoy this show? Would you like more of these? Let us know. And I think it's exciting that we've got some more Dutch teams facing some big teams in Europe. So we'll have some match previews throughout the season for those when the fixtures come out. Yeah, looking forward to it. Exciting. And yeah, Abdul, always good to chat with you. Chat with you again in a few days.
Yep. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And we will meet again, or we'll chat again in a few days from now.
Nice one. Thanks everyone for listening. And like I said, support us, support our channel, support our social media. Check out the website. You know what to do. Thanks everyone. See you on the next one.